Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm blessed another day into uh, 15th of Rabi'ul Awal 1442, 1st November 2020. Alhamdulillah, my name is Khalid Muhammad Ariff from Sekitar Synergy Senior Berhad. And welcome again to my educational video on environmental management and sciences, actually. So today I will continue to attempt to link safety, health, and environment together. The reason I'm doing this is because safety and health has been established all over the world a very, very long time ago. And it is a more reputable and solid management system as compared to environmental management due to the huge scope that we've got to manage in environmental management system. Now, I'm also doing this video in view of some of our friends for the fact that especially academicians, students, and also those in the industrial services sectors who wanted to do safety, health, and environment management system would hopefully they could find this video helpful in not only sharing some simple facts, but also I hope that this video would enable viewers to or trigger some level of thinking by viewers and enhance their comprehension and apprehension of the topic. Now, I would like to implore, or I would support a combined management system. Rather, here is known as integrated management system consisting of safety, health, and environment. And in practice, what I have noticed is not only an integration of safety, health, and environment, but we could also have quality management system, security management system, including safety, health, and environment management system integrated in one management system, uh, and sharing the same manual and of course dedicated SOP for activities, procedures for each process of each activities to cover quality, safety, health, and environment in one SOP. I think it's about time that we get things to be integrated because we could save a lot of time not only in auditing, but also we are able to have a holistic view of the process from different context of management system, namely quality, safety, health, environment, etc. So before we go on into this, I would like to implore myself and my fellow Muslims not to watch this video when you're already in a mosque, especially when the khatib is about to recite preach the khutbah, and also at any time when you are attending religious lessons. Okay, please do not watch this video. I thank you for that. Now, today I am going to discuss in short, but I think very as accurate as I could. As you know, I'm not the expert of everything. I'm more of the environmental management and sciences, but I learn from colleagues, associates who are safety and health experts. Today, I would like to share elements, or I would say important matters and issues uh, from a popular activity, at least in this country right now, Malaysia, which is tunnel boring. And we shall look into safety and health in terms of potential hazard and potential risk associated to this activity, plus giving more attention to environmental aspects and impact in the environmental management for this particular activity. So if you are ready, let us go on to the next slide, and I'll show you the picture. So this is a picture taken near Semantan area of Kuala Lumpur when they were constructing the tunnel for the SBK, Sungai Buloh Kajang line, okay, the MRT, and this picture was taken like almost 8 years ago, maybe more, and this is what we have. It is a tunnel boring machine, and from opinions and publications by experts around the world, I discovered that from their experience, it was stated that tunnel boring, in terms of environmental management, is much more favored as compared to the conventional construction of tunnel by using the conventional excavation and perhaps explosives. Okay, so this has been a global acceptance as far as a construction technique used in tunnel boring. Okay, without belittling the fact that safety is always first, nonetheless, since I am not safety and health expert, I am just an environmental resource person. So we will begin this discussion from the environmental part first, okay? Let us take a look. I think you know this process, especially if you're in the construction sector, and this process is about getting into and through hills and mountains. Okay, there's a lot of geological matters being excavated out, well, or drilled out using the TBM. Now, an environmental concern. There is an array of environmental concerns other than safety and health concerns. But for this particular discussion, I would like to scope it down into one particular, or at least three environmental aspects that we could discuss, and its relationship with safety and health. Okay, before we go on into the environmental management system proper, at least defining the environmental aspects over here. Now let us begin with this. What we have here, one of the environmental aspect is the tunnel boring machine, TBM in short, mud water. Water is being used to cool down and also to enhance the drilling process of TBM into the rock structures. It could be limestone, granite, etc. All sorts of earth structure is penetratable by this TBM. Now, one of the environmental aspect of concern is the TBM mud water. When they use water to drill, there is an outgoing and output aspect of this particular activity, which is mud water, and how it is associated or related or giving some effect to the safety element is, if we look, it can cause the area to be rather slippery. And when it is slippery due to mud, which is mixture of water and loosened soil, it could actually lead to some kind of uh, workers can fall and cause injury. Okay, and for that reason, is a link when the area is slippery. So the linkage to uh, potential risk is it can cause injury to a worker due to minor accidents or falling down while at work, etc. And the fact that when a person is injured, it would cause an impact to the environment, not only for the assets which is being mal-managed, but to address an injured person, to have it what you call rescued in this particular work, could cause some form of impact to the environment, for the dressings, for the wound management, etc. That those are all related environmental aspects to the address of injuries. Okay, and it goes vice versa. The Tbm mud water could also impact health in this way. The mud water do contain some form of residual chemicals, and in fact, this mud water can cause some form of risk when it is inhaled, and it can cause some form of anoxia or some hazardous constituents of the mud water can cause an impact to health. And a person who is not healthy, when he is already perhaps discomfort, at least from that particular intoxication perhaps or contamination, might not be able to perform work in accordance to safety guidelines and SOP, and may cause him to be involved in an accident, because there's a lot of voltage around this area, because power is generated and supplied via wires, and it could trip, and also it could cause some potential hazards like electrocution, etc. And when the safety part is not well adhered to, it can cause impact to environment, because there would be wastage from occurrence of accidents for not complying to safety procedures. It can cause a lot of problems to the environment of spec equipments, or additional wastage, or some equipment malfunction due to some problem with the worker not fixing what they call electrical or mechanical parts correctly. So that would lead to malfunction equipment or some form of wastage from electrical and mechanical parts involved in this. So it's all related. Okay, it is all related in either way. Okay, for the environmental management part, we'll take a look at the TBM, the first example. Now the question is the TBM mud water. The question is, why is the TBM mud water an environmental aspect? Could you think of something? Okay, the question is, why is TBM mud water an environmental aspect? Remember, TBM mud water is an output aspect coming from this activity. It is an output aspect, okay? And what impact does it cause? So in order to determine what impact does it cause, we have to know the fact that since it is an output aspect, we got to look at its life cycle downstream, meaning in order to determine what kind of environmental impact does the aspect TBM mud water causes is by looking at the downstream life cycle perspective of the mud water itself, which is an output aspect from this particular activity. There you are. So remember, when we look at output aspect, the impact is downstream life cycle perspective. And here, the mud water, if it is allowed to, well, it does, okay, although they are being recycled. This mud water in this system is being recycled via a wastewater treatment plant, a sedimentation plant, actually, involving the use of coagulant to ensure that the treated water from the wastewater treatment plant is clean of any particles, and clean water is being discharged out in the nearby monsoon drain. And on top, sorry, the clean water is being recycled. What is coming out? The clean water is being recycled back into this TBM system. What is being discharged out from the sedimentation wastewater treatment plant is the sludge. Okay, so if without that wastewater treatment that recycle the TBM mud water, what would happen? If it is allowed to be discharged into monsoon drains, it will just clog drains in a form of water pollution. It will cause flash flood in the city. Simple as that. And I would just simply put it as water pollution. And in fact, there's a, do you hear that? That is music to my ear. The exhaust of Harley Davidson's. Never mind. Now, the impact to that is water pollution. And the kind of pollution is actually sedimentation. It clogs city sewage system, and it would, do you like it? And it would clog city sewage system and causes flash flood. I think you know Kuala Lumpur, you know Malaysia. Monsoon season, even without monsoon season, one of the effects of global climate change is affecting the entire world. And we are one of the recipients of the impact called global climate change, acute weather conditions. So much rain in one time, it's like the entire sky is pouring everything down from the heavens. All right, everything is down here. It gets flooded, inundated, cars, buildings, all submerged. Now, because of one of the reasons, city flash floods, because the drainage system, the sewage system is clogged. One of the reasons is all heavy coarse particles from the entire city, including garbage, debris, all forms, are clogging the drainage system, and that causes not only water pollution but sedimentation buildup. So these streams, ditches, waterways are shallower, and that just invites flash flood at any time. So that is actually the main environmental impact associated to TBM mud water. We are not accusing the mud water that has caused flash flood in Kuala Lumpur. No, one of the environmental aspect that has a potential effect to the environment called environmental impact, namely water pollution and sedimentation. Okay, let's take a look at the next aspect. Let's take a look at the TBM itself, the machine itself. Take a look at the picture. What do you see? What is it made of? Metal structures, mostly, as far as my eyes could see. But when I was down there, I saw the bulk of it is actually metal, but the electrical circuits, I think, is conventional wire. There's some plastic parts, but in bulk, it's a lot of metals and a lot of what they call concrete slabs involved. And in fact, the TBM machine itself is in bulk metal. So all these materials that made up the TBM machine, the tunnel boring machine that made up the TBM, they are from metal. They are from plastics. Okay? And in fact, the cement are all minerals coming from, similar to metals, from the mining of metal ore and the mining of minerals. Okay, and what would be their associated probable environmental impact is by looking at the fact that the TBM is an input or output aspect. There you are. The tunnel boring machine is an input aspect for this particular activity. It comes in. Yes, after a while, some of the components of the TBM, you know better than I do, construction mechanical engineers, parts of the TBM has got to be replaced to new ones, the beads, the boring beads, mechanical parts, the gearing, the chain, etc., etc. You know better than I do. All these are input. The fresh parts becomes input to this activity. The old parts, the used part or defected parts are output. We are not discussing the output right now. The TBM machine is causing an environmental impact. So how to determine the associated environmental impact to the TBM is by looking to the fact that it is an input aspect. Okay, when it is an input aspect, its associated environmental impact is upstream of its life cycle. Meaning, where does the TBM come from? Of course, from the TBM fabrication plant, using certain materials, for example, metal, for example, plastics, okay, and also perhaps minerals. Where does it come from? Natural resources. So the more demand for those materials, what happens to our natural resource? This is the environmental impact, which is resource depletion. Got it? Another environmental aspect of concern is there is a genset over here that uses diesel fuel, huge genset, to power the TBM machines, to power the lighting, to power the ventilation blowers, pumps, and to power any other electrical instruments which is needed in this activity. So diesel fuel is an environmental aspect, and diesel fuel gets into this activity as an input aspect. Therefore, the probable potential environmental impact from the use of diesel fuel is by looking upstream of its life cycle. And diesel fuel is fossil fuel. And the environmental impact, which is globally famous, known as resource depletion. Okay? Now, one thing, let's take a look at this is the environmental management system ISO 14001 version 2015. I hope I've given you some idea of how it is linked and how we can have a combined management system. I'm focusing on the environment so that you are able to combine the environmental management part with your existing ISO 18001 perhaps. Okay, and we will view the risk over here, and please do not be confused. This is a risk, namely for environmental management system, although it is a popular word in health safety. Okay, now the risk in discussion here is related to Tbm Mud Water. And related to this activity in terms of environment, what are the risks? Look, legal liability. The mud water from the TBM is not allowed to be discharged in the monsoon drain or any inland water systems in this country. There is a legal liability. This is an EIA approved project. There is an array of associated compulsory legal binding terms and conditions that the project proponent via the main contractor and subcontractors that they must comply to, that they need to comply to. Okay, that's a legal liability. Please refer to the authority. And a most important thing about the TBM activity here is a public receptor. Human is one of the most prominent bioreceptors in ecological terms. And the drilling, this kind of TBM machine, when it is at work, especially in Kuala Lumpur, it has got to go around some existing piling work of high-rise skyscrapers around Kuala Lumpur. And in many incidents, there are some reports of vibration, but it is minor because the vibration is being anticipated by the project planner and the construction company. They know what to do, how to dampen the vibration, but there is a liability there. There is a risk associated public complaints. I'm not talking about traffic; those are under health safety. And as an environmental concern public myself, I do not deny the facts that this tunnel is well constructed with a lot of civil strength mitigating measures, mitigating parts that has been deployed and attached to the tunnel by having those linings and the curve to have a strength for the tunnel. Nonetheless, when they bore this tunnel, they found some cracks, some fractures, and of course they have used grouting materials to ensure those cracks or pore are being addressed. Nonetheless, as far as geography is concerned, the geological structure has been tampered with, and no man-made structure is ever better than natural structures. Okay, as far as strength is concerned. On top of that, there is another worry from my part. It might not be addressed here, but it's just sharing the facts that when we bore through bedrock or rock structures, you will find that sometimes we might come across some form of metals. If we are lucky, we get gold, but there are some other kinds of metals which might include thorium, selenium, beryllium, you know, and these are probably potential radioactive isotopes, and this is one of the risk. Even though the study has been done here, they saw minimal in terms of millisievert, only certain portion, but most of the other stretch of this tunnel is safe from TENOM. TENOM is representing this abbreviation is representing technologically enhanced, naturally occurring radioactive material. Okay, and this is just about some of the risk involved. The actual risk is known to the project proponent and contractor. They bumped into all sorts of issues while doing this work. And there are some opportunity which is already ongoing. And in fact, they have done this on-site mud water treatment. It is done. And they have treated those mud water. Uh, they were able to separate mud from clean water, and the cleaner water is being reused in the TBM activities. The mud is allowed to settle as sludge, and unfortunately the sludge from this TBM project has got to be classified as scheduled waste in this country, Malaysia. And if I am allowed to give an opinion, I would convert those sludge into and be used in this project. You know, I would do that, but somehow law is above everything, including environmental objectives. But I believe that is in view of the content of those sludge that may contain, of course, it contains some heavy metals from its natural occurrence in this geological structure. But for me, we could convert it into safe product such as bricks and to be used in this project itself, perhaps at the surface, or perhaps laying some groundworks for this tunnel. It's just my opinion, and I'm a nobody. Okay, but I believe at this point, if you are a company who want to integrate environment, okay, or actually environmental management in your existing health safety management system, this is how you could do it. I have opened some, uh, uh, um, uh, I have disclosed what the environmental management is managing, which is environmental aspects only. All right. The environmental management concern is the environmental aspect. So the question in EMS ISO 14001 is about managing environmental aspects by fulfilling compliance obligation, there you are, and addressing risk and opportunity. You already have the representation of environmental management system there. All you got to do is couple it with safety and health. Safety is managing this activity as well, but looking at potential hazard and potential risk what to do. They have dedicated, well-established SOPs, references to help them. But for the environment, it is a little bit too much to consider, but we'll do it slowly. And I've just what do you call disclose how it can be coupled in one management system called safety, health, and environment, or even quality management system, combined or integrated system. Okay, good luck to you. I hope my video would spur a further thinking in your part. This is just an example that I could share with you, but the philosophy, the ideology is there intact. Okay, so thank you very much, YouTube, for the beautiful platform, amazing platform, as I used to put it. Thank you, all subscribers, viewers. Thank you for your time. Wish me in good health, and I wish everyone in Bahasa Melayu semoga dikurniakan apa yang dihajat, dipohon dan dicita-cita, dipelihara daripada bala, bencana, musibah, penyakit serta maksiat. I hope I could translate that in English, but I'm not so good. And I wish everybody, everyone, every single soul, until we meet in the next video, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.